You're listening to the Paranormal UK Radio Network, the best in paranormal talk radio in the UK and around the world.
From haunted houses to cursed artifacts, from whispers in the dark to battles you'll never read in scripture. This is the Unholy podcast, hosted by Owen, author, investigator, and survivor of one of the most harrowing real-life hauntings ever documented. Each week, Doug pulls back the veil between this world and the next, sharing stories that aren't fiction, because he lived them. Prepare yourself. The silence is over.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unholy Podcast. I'm your host, author and paranormal investigator, Doug Owen. And tonight, we're heading deep into the forests, the legends, the mysteries that continue to fascinate people all around the world. For centuries, people have reported encounters with creatures that should not exist, but they do. Creatures that live on the fringe of our understanding. Bigfoot, the Jersey Devil, Dogman, unknown creatures seen in remote wilderness areas. At the same time, many of these witnesses also report strange lights, unexplained sounds, paranormal activity, and experiences that challenge conventional explanations. Tonight's guest spent years investigating both cryptids and the paranormal. He is the founder of Paranormal Productions, co-organizer of Jersey's annual Cryptid and Paranormal Conference, a veteran of dozens of Bigfoot expeditions throughout the Northeast, and has participated in numerous paranormal investigations. And he's been in some of the most intriguing locations. So please welcome Michael O'Connor. Michael, welcome to the Unholy Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start off with the questions here. Let's jump right in. So tell our listeners about yourself and what first sparked your interest in cryptids and the paranormal back in 2005.
Well, I was always out there in the woods. I read some convincing books and evidence about how the American Indians all believed the Sasquatch existed, and I kind of believe that. And I also, when the Sasquatch was put in the Washington State Army Field Manual in 1975, and they found actual DNA evidence of its existence, that really made me really interested. And also reading The Wilderness Hunter by Mr. Roosevelt, it was just unbelievable how that book just made me hooked, So all I could say is when you're out there in the woods, you got to learn the sounds of the different kinds of animals out there. Every state has different types of wildlife. It's a good idea to know all the kinds of poisonous snakes when you're out there, if there is any, what kind of sounds the owls make, what kind of sounds the coyotes make, the foxes make, the different kinds of foxes. I stress this about foxes is the gray fox is very common in Middlesex, New Jersey, and what they do is they build their nests up in the tree, and when they make that screaming, screeching sound, right away I get a phone call. I hear the Jersey Devil in the tree. Can you check it out? And I have to explain to them it's a gray fox, which the red foxes will pretty much burrow in the ground and lower, But the red fox. But the gray foxes, they go up in the trees, and if people don't know that, they hear that horrible screech, they think it's the Jersey Devil in the tree,
I got you.
But, yeah, it got me.
So
But in 2005...
go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, we've got a little bit of a lag. My apologies. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I said in 2005, I was out out in New Hampshire with my friend. I've come across moose and different kinds of animals. I thought I had DNA evidence in the past, and I made a mistake and put it in a plastic bag instead of a paper envelope, which you ask anybody in forensics and anybody who ever worked for the FBI, that's the worst thing you can do is put a DNA sample in a dime bag, because the plastic does something to it and screws up the sample.
Wow.
So you live and learn. You know, when you get a letter from the university saying, you next time put it in a paper bag, and you get kind of disappointed, you know.
Well, that's interesting. I did not know that. So
it's good for the listeners.
Yeah.
It's good for the listeners to know. So I save them the headaches.
Yeah.
To know certain things where they don't. I mean, that's, to me, that's cryptid history, right? You learn from your mistakes so they don't happen again. So if I could show people, like, hey, this happened in my history, don't make the same mistake, you know? If people are ignorant, they don't listen, I can't do nothing about that, but I can tell them, you know, to be careful so it doesn't happen to them, you know?
No, absolutely. So tell me, was there a specific path or experience? Did something happen to you that made you want to pursue this type of lifestyle and this type of career?
In 2014, I love this. I always loved the wildlife and hiking and, you know, going out in the woods and everything. But after 2014, when me and my wife had ghost sighting, I think I sent you the whole story, right? I went to a Judas Priest concert, my brother and his girlfriend, and we all met there, my wife, and saw Judas Priest. I didn't drink nothing. I just, you know, because I knew I was driving. So after we saw the concert, we headed home. And maybe about 10 minutes from our house on the Hamburg Turnpike in Pompton Lakes, across from the Pompton Reformed Church, which is a really, really, really old church. So this person standing in the middle of the road with his arms folded, like, you know, I kind of felt like, F you ain't going past me. Like, I kind of felt like this guy's trying to make me pull over so he could try to rob us or something. That's what I felt.
Okay.
So I kind of felt like, hey, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And I hit the accelerator and boom. And I said to my wife, did you just see what I just saw? My wife goes, oh my God, it had no legs. It's like we just went through air. It was really, really weird, you know? So ever since then, that really hooked me, and I've been going on all kinds of ghost hunts and going out with other investigators, and then I really got more into the Bigfoot, going out with the BFRO. So that kind of really triggered me to get really into this.
So you've participated in a number of BFRO sponsored expeditions. For listeners who don't really know what that is and they're not familiar with the expeditions, what are those like? Can you describe that?
Well, you know, everything costs. I guess they have to charge something, putting it together. It's a lot of work to put something together, and the camping fees and all of that. And what you do is if you go on the BFRO.net, it'll show you all the different investigations you could go on. Every state has one or two that happens every year. And you kind of could feel like, well, you're going to go out for 4 days, usually like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you camp out. And, you know, you eat your barbecue, you know, it's just like a regular camp out. But at night, you go out looking for Sasquatch, and you get your headlamp. You make sure it's a red headlamp so you don't have it too bright out there, because sometimes you don't want the bright light to scare any kind of possible Sasquatch away, you know.
Sure.
So during the day, it's more scouting, looking for footprints, stuff like that. Like if it rained the day before, you're usually by the river looking around for footprints, you know. In fact, a couple investigators in the Pine Barrens actually found some really nice footprints. They have them casted and everything.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. What type of footprints were those? Was that Jersey Devil, or what are we talking about?
No. It was a Sasquatch. It was definitely, unless there's some barefooted guy running around the pines with a size 18 foot. You know, it was pretty big. But even when he cast it, you could see the little leaves in the cast. It's pretty cool, you know. And that was Eric Spinner who casted that one.
Okay. So he discovered it there, or you discovered it with him?
Well, the group was walking around on the edge of the river. In fact, I wasn't at that expedition. I was there the following year, so he was showing me the cast.
Okay.
When I was on that, but we did find little footprints. Like there's a lot of juveniles around there too, you know. And what's good about the Pine Barrens, I think why it attracts so many of them, is you got the cranberry bogs, the blueberries, and you got a lot of deer, and you don't have bear. And when you don't have bear, you have less competition, you know, with all the food. You know, in North Jersey, you got so many black bear, so it's like a competition with the food there, you know.
So what is the most compelling piece of evidence that you've ever collected or witnessed? Speaking about Bigfoot specifically.
Well, I recorded a howl, and I've heard every single howl out there. The one like the first time I heard a barred owl, it sounded like a monkey screaming in the dark. Until you learn something new every time you're out there. I heard a fisher cat. I seen it. It looked like a giant mongoose. It was real freaky looking. But I recorded a howl, and it's basically nobody's able to tell what kind of a howl it is. You know, they can't. So I'm going to have it sent out. I'm going to let some real good professionals take a look at it. I've had other investigators that are out there that are more experienced than I am said that, wow, you might have a good find here. Let's send it out and let our analysts listen to it and see what they think it is. So right now, that's the best.
So the howl is good. So is that the only piece of evidence that you couldn't explain? Given your extensive experience, I mean, what really stumped you when you were out there?
What do you mean, like in other circumstances? You mean,
well,
like,
yeah. I mean, have
for instance,
experienced something in the woods you still can't explain, like you've experienced it and you still don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, I was out on the with Jason Kenzie. He was filming for his one of his shows, and it was supposed to be mainly for the Jersey Devil, but I'll be honest with you, I think the Jersey Devil is just a legend, and it could be a paranormal entity, but I don't think it's a cryptid. I think everyone's actually seeing Bigfoot out there. And that's just my opinion. But we were out there. I heard, this is when I first arrived to base camp. I heard something freaking a dog out. There was only one guy camping next to us on the other side, and I heard a dog barking. So I wanted to see who else was camping on the other side. But this dog seemed very disturbed, like something was really upsetting it. And so I had the recorder on. There's a possibility I might even hear growls around in between the dog barks. But at the time, I did hear some grunting and growls. So I said, I told the guys, I'm going to walk over, check this out, find out where this is coming from. And sure enough, there was a guy camping across the way there. And so I decided I'm going to walk up this giant path here and see where it goes. So I'm walking up this path, and nothing going on. There's no animals out there at all. Like, it was really quiet. And as I turned around to meet up, those guys were starting to walk towards me. And when I started heading back, I noticed this tree that was like, I don't know. I couldn't say it's a tree. It's like a kind of like a bend, like a branch that was totally bent over.
Okay.
It looked really interesting. It looked like it was shaped like a rainbow. And I thought it was really interesting. And what's interesting was holding it down was this giant branch that I couldn't move it myself. It was really heavy. And we didn't see any holes in the ground. I didn't see any trees with broken spots or anything. And I was really looking around. I thought it was really interesting. So Jason Kenzie comes over and he says, "Hey, this is a great find." And he was explaining, he'll probably talk about it in his documentary film, that it's a good find because when they put that heavy branch to hold that down, it would take about 2 guys to lift that branch off. So who would do such a thing like that? It was really heavy, and I'm a strong guy. I wrestled. I was always in great shape. And I just thought it was interesting, So we went out that night and we found another structure. But that structure was different. That structure actually was growing. It was like a hoop, but it was growing. It just grew like that. So we found that one that looks natural, and then we see the one that looked like it was bent over on purpose. Okay. And when we lifted the branch off that other one, the tree just didn't come back and snap. And Jason was explaining that, and it rains and it dries, and it rains and it dries. That kind of keeps that from coming back like that. But the thing too is, when we were looking at that other one, I heard something, and I says, "Look, something's in there." I heard a rattlesnake rattle, and then I knew it was in there, and I says, "Look out, there's a rattlesnake." He looked down and saw it, and right away I was like, "Let's get at it." So we finally got out of there, and we get to this thing. We had no idea what it was. It was like some kind of like tiny little shelter thing that you can look in. And there was a black widow spider in there, and I was like, "Geez, everything's poisonous around here." So I was like, "Take a picture of it." And when we went to take a picture of it, the thing took off. It's like they weren't kidding when they said those things were shy, Wow. So after that, Jason told me at base camp that when him and his friend Ron House, they heard some what do you call it, whoops, and they thought they saw something before they met up with me, like kind of like an eye shine, and they were following it, trying to figure out what it was, and they saw these eyes looking at them, and when they saw the eyes, they said that right behind them they heard a boom, like a big crash.
Wow.
And they turned around, and that whatever the eyes they were looking at was gone. So it sounded like whatever it was distracted them from what they were saying. So on that whole expedition or trip, that was the only probably chance we had possibly have an encounter. I think we were very close to having one at that point. And I went out looking, and from what they told me, I thought it was very interesting. They might have seen what I heard upsetting the dogs. They just did whatever it was. It didn't go totally away yet. And I think when I went down that path, I wanted to check everything out. I guess it was still in the area, and I guess that's when they had that incident occur.
That's amazing. So let me ask you, when you discuss Bigfoot, and skeptics will say, okay, well, why is there no body, no definitive proof, no specimen? How do you respond to the critics when they bring that up?
My question is, how can something be in the Army Field Manual, hit the newspapers, evidence found Bigfoot exists from DNA? They find it. It's in the field manual. If you didn't know it was in the field manual, if you Google Bigfoot in 1975 Washington State Army Field Manual, it will come up and you'll see it. And it's even in the FBI files as well. That was evidence at the time that it existed. And a couple Bigfoot investigators wanted to see the evidence or read about it. And this was in 1976. The FBI wrote back and says, we can't find the specimen. The specimen's gone. So they couldn't locate the specimen. Okay, and that was 1976. Then they said in 1977, they finally found the specimen, and they said it was a deer hair. So it doesn't, I think the government, it's not a conspiracy. I think it's definitely in your face to judge for yourself. But the government, the reason why I think the government doesn't want us to know Bigfoot exists, it's kind of like the alien stuff's coming out now with the government. Some interesting stuff's been coming out. But I think the logging industry, which our economy really depends on, like we sell 100%, Japan gets 100% of their paper from us. So if Bigfoot exists, when the spotted owl was proven to exist, the logging industry took a big hit. And I think if the logging industry takes a huge hit because Bigfoot's proven to exist, the economy would just tank. And I think the government realized that that's why they're trying to cover that shit up, Yeah. But it's interesting, like if you ask AI or Google,
yeah,
what would happen to the economy if Bigfoot if it was proven to exist? You would be amazed what Siri or Alexa would tell you. You would be like, "Holy Christmas!" You wouldn't believe it.
Wow. So you mentioned DNA before. So you believe that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature, not like an entity, spirit, or a specter, paranormal.
Right. I believe he's a flesh and blood creature, but I do think, it's just like that you see a ghost of somebody, maybe you could see a Sasquatch ghost in the woods, like that could be possible too. But the flesh and blood creature, it's 100% what I believe. I don't think it's anything else than that. Like I don't think they're time jumpers. I don't think they go through portals. That's a little hard to grasp for me, I mean, animals, you'd be amazed. There's so many animals that are discovered all the time, like new species of animals. And if you remember the duck-billed platypus in Australia,
right?
That was once a cryptid until it was someone saw it and found out it was a real animal. And so you're constantly discovering new stuff out there,
So of all the locations that you've been to, which location would you say stands out the most for cryptid reports?
I like the New Jersey Pine Barrens, and I think what I like about it is it's really easy to hike. Like if you're an elderly person and you're older, and even somebody with a heart condition, you could definitely walk in the pines at night and be okay because it's all flat land. It's not like going up to the Appalachian Trail in northern New Jersey, and believe me, you'll huff and puff going up those hills. It's not easy. And I think the pines gets a lot of sightings. There's a lot of sightings in those areas.
Why do you think that is? What do you think?
I think there's food sources. There's so many areas in the pines where I don't even think man has even been in. The pines are huge, Yeah. And I'm sure the Sasquatches find a safe place far away from anybody. And I noticed too that when we got that campsite that night, we were the only camper other than that other guy next to us, and then I found that other one there. So there was nobody there. If you go to a campsite that has like 30 or 40 people, that's not a good idea to go out looking for a Sasquatch. They're not going to be around that many people.
Right. So you've appeared in a documentary about the Jersey Devil. Now, you mentioned that you think it's just myth and legend. So for those listening who don't know about the Jersey Devil, can you explain what it is and why do you think that it's still talked about to this very day?
See, I'm not really. I heard the story many times, the Leeds house and that legend about the 13th child and all of that. And I'm just, to me, it just sounds like something that would make a great horror movie, but it doesn't have that convincing side to it where it's like, oh, this thing, I think this thing exists. And if you listen to a Sasquatch, to stories about a Sasquatch, you kind of can say, you could say to yourself, wow, this sounds convincing it exists. Every single tribe, American Indian tribe, all claim to see it. Our 26th president of the United States had an encounter, and one of his men was even killed. The Wilderness Hunters, a great book. You should check it out. It's the Bauman story. The chapters in Cowboy Land. It's a real amazing story. And when you hear this kind of stuff, the Bigfoot is more of there's more of a chance it exists rather than a Jersey Devil story.
Okay. So you've become kind of famous and known for a statement that you said, and many investigators agree with. The statement is that all hoaxers will be hung. So talk to me about hoaxes in the cryptid field. How much damage does that do to legitimate research? People put, I go on Facebook all the time, and then these people use these AI fake photos claiming this is real. People don't realize it's very easy to put that through software, and AI could say, that's an AI photograph. Like, you could prove it in seconds. Sure.
Then you got people dressing up in costumes, and some of the costumes are so cheesy, it's like they bought it at the dollar store or something, But if somebody's got a really, really good costume, it's a little harder, and AI will even tell you it's either a man in a costume or an actual Bigfoot. So but it narrows it down. You're able to put it through the software, and you can say, okay, well, it's not AI, then it's either a man in a costume or a Bigfoot, and you kind of can decide for yourself what it is.
So have you personally encountered evidence that turned out to be falsified, fabricated?
I ignore, if I know something's goofy or something's messed up about it, I just ignore it right away. You could tell. I could tell right away if it's fake. Mm-hmm. And when I said the all hoaxers will be hung, that was kind of like a joke thing where I was like, people take some people are crazy. They'll take me serious about that. I'm not going to actually hang people, but
right. No,
it's
an
it was
expression.
kind of like a joke that enough's enough already. You know, people are out there really trying to find evidence, and you got these people in the woods. Now, the reason why the BFRO is very secretive about a location, and it's always a secret location, is because they don't want a bunch of hammerheads finding out where you are and having fun with you all night, like hiding in the woods, making sounds and dressing up, running around. So that's the main reason why they do all of that. You know, it's like if you go out on a BFRO trip, they'll say, hey, disclose location. A week before the event, we'll announce where it is, and we'll all meet there. And that's how they handle it.
That's very, very smart. I think that should cut down on that. You know, it's disturbing that people would actually go out and, you know, do that for fun or shits and giggles, you know, just to disrupt a scientific expedition trying to learn more. It's disturbing that people do that. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about cryptid researchers? What do you think the public thinks about that?
Well, sometimes people want it. They're scared of everything. You know, you got people that can't even watch a horror movie, and they're telling you it's not real because they want to believe it's not real.
Right.
And then you got the skeptics that they're very hard to convince about different things. All I could say is that if you had an encounter yourself, you kind of change the way you feel about things. I mean, I always was a skeptic. I always was like hard to convince of something. But when I saw that entity on the road like that, I could just tell you that, man, I'm not laughing at nobody's story no more. Even if I think it's BS, I'm not laughing at it.
Right. So, do you believe that cryptids are a paranormal phenomenon, or do you think that that's kind of connected, or do you think it's a separate category altogether?
I think flesh and blood creatures, like I would say, like the Loch Ness monster, Bigfoot, of course, Yeti, the whole different kinds of primates out there. I'm trying to think of a real good example, like the chupacabra. That's, you know, I don't know what to think about that. That could be something the government made. It could be some kind of extraterrestrial creature. Those are a little hard to really think what it is. But a Sasquatch, I think they've been here a long time. I think it's a lot more easier to grasp it. They're real. And usually the people that, the Bigfoot, and they start laughing. Well, I'm out in the woods at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes even 4 in the morning, and those people would never do that. You know, they'd be the bear's gonna get me, or something's gonna get me, a bat. I'm scared of bats. You know, they make up an excuse like that, but they just don't want to see something that's bigger than them and more frightening than them. And if you've seen a Sasquatch, some say it's 7 feet tall. There are even some that said it was 10 feet tall, 14 feet. I think 14 feet high was the highest I ever heard. Out in like Washington State or something like that. They're supposedly really big out there, but you know, in Jersey I heard 7, 8 feet tall. You know, so people, when they hear that, they don't want to, like, in their mind, they just can't admit it's real. You know, they just.
So many people report like lights and strange lights, missing time, unusual paranormal activity associated with their cryptid encounters. What do you think about that? Do you think there's a connection between that?
I've never had any experiences like that. I mean, my ghost experiences, I even had a few others afterwards. And in fact, when you go on these investigations, I don't know if you ever had a spirit follow you home from one before, but it's definitely, you should always do your prayers when you leave there at a location like that, because I've had a couple follow me home already.
Sure.
You know, they left me alone. And I think if you don't give them attention, they leave you alone. It's when you start giving them a lot of attention, that's when they're just never going to leave you alone. Mm-hmm. You know, but if you just ignore it and you know it's them trying to get attention and you ignore it, they leave you alone.
Hmm. So do you think there's a connection between cryptids and ghosts at the same location? Do they coexist or are they separate?
I think it's two totally different things. Can you have a ghost encounter the same night with a Bigfoot encounter? Yeah, it's possible.
Sure.
We've had psychics and people come out with us, and we found out that somebody died in the woods, and we found their when someone dies on the side of the road and you find their flowers and everything where they died.
Sure.
That was something like that. Somebody, we had it, all kinds of, like our machines kept going off and some kind of weird interferences. And we were looking for Bigfoot, but this was happening. And then we found out that the person that was doing this that died, his memorial was maybe 50 or 60 feet around the corner from us.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. So let's shift into the paranormal investigation world. So how does investigating reported haunted locations differ from, say, cryptids in the wilderness? What do you see as the two main differences?
Well, I think there's so many ghosts that I think it's easier to have some kind of a ghost encounter than it would be for a Bigfoot encounter. Mm-hmm. And I do think Bigfoot, if proven to exist, is definitely on the endangered species lists. And I think it's, even bear, not everybody goes in the woods and sees a bear. I mean, bear come out, but they're not it's not like seeing a deer in the wild, Right. So bear, there's less bear than there are deer, So it's the same thing with a Sasquatch. And why, and you asked me a question before, why you don't think there's ever been remains found?
Right.
Well, we got porcupines, and they love to eat bones, and they get after the vultures get done with the flesh, it's turkey vultures will just eat everything off the bone, and then porcupines will eat the rest.
Sure. Yeah,
so
nature takes care of itself. Absolutely. So you've spoken at UFO study groups as well. Where do UFOs fit into the larger mystery?
Oh, I have a guy, he's been, he's in his 80s, his name's Dr. UFO, and he hosted over 50 conferences. I mean, he used to host all the big UFO conferences. And he's more into the UFO stuff than the cryptid stuff. But at the meetings, everybody talks about everything. And he always hands out pamphlets and different things that he, this is the Ant-Man, this is the Greys, this is all different, the reptilians and all this different stuff. And when you saw the 4 aliens that were released by the government, he's kind of wow, the Mantis Man was said to be sighted in Hackettstown, New Jersey, and you kind of get this thing turned over by the government that one of the aliens is an insect type creature like a praying mantis. You kind of say to yourself, holy shit, maybe this guy that had the 2 people that had the sighting on the river that day saw an extraterrestrial, because now it was released. That pretty much makes sense what it was. And then you have, of course, you got the reptilians, you have the Greys, and there's another one, I'm not sure what it's called, but it looks more like us, you know? Mm-hmm. They're like the four groups that the government admitted existed, which I find really interesting, you know? So why is the government kind of like giving in now and just releasing everything? Like all those years covering it up. Now they're just saying, hey, this is what it is. This is what this is, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting question. Why now? Maybe because everybody has a cell phone with a camera and the reported, you know, occurrences are like probably a quintillion, you know, compared to what they used to be in the olden days when you didn't have anything but instant Polaroid camera. You know, you didn't have all the equipment back then. Nowadays, you can take a snapshot of just about anything, and it stands as evidence.
Well, like, you know, when they had all of this drone stuff going on last year, it was like a big thing. And I was going to meet with a friend that had a really good camera. And I was with this other investigator from New York, waiting for the guy to arrive with the camera. And we saw something really cool. So we both got our cell phones out and started filming it. And we got some really good footage of a UAP. Possibly it could be a drone, but it's definitely not a helicopter or an airplane. I'll tell you that right now. And I have this on YouTube if you want to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like I said, it's with a phone, but we had no choice at the time. We had a video. What we had, you know, you can't just like ignore it. Oh, let's wait for him to get the camera because then the chance to videotape it's going to be gone.
Right. And it's amazing how
there's
it
plenty
appears and then disappears. Yeah.
It's plenty of times where I'm out and I don't have my camera and I see something interesting and I can't videotape it. It sucks, but it happens.
Yeah, it's happened to me more than once, believe me. Every time I'm close to getting, you know, something, it's like, I don't have my camera on me. So that's really interesting. So let me ask you this question. So over the years, and you said you started out as a skeptic. So over the years, has your view changed as a global view because of your investigations? Has it changed your mind from skeptic to hardcore believer?
I'm a hardcore believer now. I'm discovering every time I go out in the woods. I discover something new, even if it's a learning experience. Like I said, you hear the bard. I communicate with barred owls sometimes, and I talk to them. You go on YouTube and you hear all these sounds. And I sing in a band, too. Like, I can copy AC/DC. I could sound like Bon Scott, you know? Nice. So, when you could do that, you kind of like, you're trying to mimic an owl. When you mimic the owl and they start talking back to you, that's a real cool feeling. Like, oh, shit, they understand me, you know? And then your hope is that when the barred owls are communicating with you, that's going to bring something else into the conversation. Possibly same thing when the coyotes start howling when they hear a call that you make or something, and you're kind of hoping that possibly a Sasquatch is going to join in, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So why you always have to have that camera going, that video recorder, you know?
You almost have to have it strapped to your head 24/7 to capture everything. It's just amazing. You know, it's just coincidence that when you're ready to record, you want to document evidence, you've got your equipment, a lot of times nothing happens, right?
Yeah, but you can go out and you don't even hear a noise. Nothing even like, you don't even hear a coyote, a bark, a dog, or a raccoon. You don't hear nothing. And then when you're out there and you hear that sound, it changes. It's like fishing. You go fishing. Geez, you know, it took me forever to catch my first fish, and then all of a sudden I was catching them all the time. But it's the same thing with fishing. If you go fishing and you're like, oh man, I'm not catching nothing, this is a waste of time. If you give up like that, then you're never going to catch a fish, right? But if you keep trying, eventually you're going to catch a fish. And I think it's the same thing with going out squatching is you're going out there, and if you're out there doing it all the time, I think eventually you'll find something. And I mean, even some of the big experts that are on TV, they don't go out that much. They're not going out every single day. But if you're out in the woods every single day, I think your chances of finding something are greater than somebody who's got a big degree in something, because you're out there doing it.
No, absolutely. So let me ask you, what is the one mystery that keeps you searching after all of these years? What still drives you into the field?
Well, like I said, when I hear those howls, like, what am I hearing? And when nobody can tell you what you're hearing, it's like you get hooked. You're like, wow, he can identify every single wildlife animal out there, and he can't tell me what it is. What am I hearing here? So you're thinking, is it a possible Sasquatch, right? That's what you're thinking. You might have a possible Sasquatch recorded, But, that hooks me, man. When I hear those certain sounds in the woods, that's what gets you really hooked.
Nice. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Michael O'Connor, and we're going to put him through the Unholy Fire Rapid Round. So, you're listening to the Unholy Podcast. Stay tuned. Stay with us. Thanks.
From across the globe, where the unexplained refuses to stay buried, comes a network that doesn't just talk about the paranormal. It broadcasts it. Welcome to Paranormal UK Radio, streaming worldwide at paranormalukradio.com, bringing you an international lineup of voices from the edge of reality, featuring hit shows like the Unholy Podcast, hosted by author and paranormal investigator Doug Owen, alongside Seventh Sanctum with Carrie Ann and Natalie, The Paranormal Peep Show, Unknown Classic Origins Radio, Mac Maloney's Military, X-Files Fridays, Scary Eerie with Mark Manning, The High Strangeness Factor with Steve Ward, Andy Mercer, and Susie Bastille, 6 Degrees of John Keel, and Transdimensional Realities with Melissa Lee. This isn't just radio, it's a deep look at the paranormal. Tune in now at paranormalukradio.com and step into the unknown, because the truth is never silent.
The darkness doesn't care what time it is. But you should. When the shadows grow long and the investigation begins, trust the timepiece that's built to keep pace with every moment. Lorayo watches. Combine timeless style with dependable performance, making them the perfect companion, whether you're in the studio, on an investigation, or simply living life on your own terms. The mysteries of the unknown may never be solved, but you'll always know what time it is. Lorayo Watches, proud sponsor of the Unholy Podcast and the Unholy Broadcast.
Millions of people turn to search engines like Google asking, what is life insurance? But they are ignoring the most terrifying phantom of all, the dark entity of financial ruin. When you vanish into the spirit world, do not leave your family to be haunted by bills they simply cannot pay. Banish the uncertainty, contact a professional, secure their future with the Don M. Adams Insurance Agency. Serving Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, call 208-955-6370. That's 208-955-6370.
The experiences discussed on the Unholy Podcast are not fiction. They are drawn from lived events. Doug's first-hand account of a sustained haunting, as documented in the book, The Unholy Silence. The book details the investigation, the psychological toll, and the impact on his family, offering a deeper look at what happens when paranormal events move beyond theory and into daily life. The Unholy Silence is available worldwide through Amazon in paperback, hardback, and ebook formats. For those who want the full account, the story begins there.
All right, welcome back to the Unholy Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Owen, and our guest tonight is Michael O'Connor. Now, before we move into the Unholy Fire, I have a few final questions. So, let me ask you, do you think that we are any closer today to proving the existence of cryptids more than we were, say, 20 years ago?
Definitely closer.
Okay. So, with technologies and things out there, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to join their very first Bigfoot expedition?
Make sure you have everything on the checklist. And it gets colder at night. Even if it's like 90-degree weather, you'd be surprised how cold it gets out there. You know, like thermal underwear is always a good idea. Bring extra flashlights. Repellent. You need insect repellent. That, you know, it's crazy. Like there's a tick out there that could make you allergic to red meat. I don't know if you heard about that.
Whoa, I have not heard that. No.
Yeah, and it didn't exist 10 years ago, and I think I could cause a conspiracy theory about it, but I think it's man-made and it was purposely done for a reason, you know? But, you know, it's bad enough you got to deal with Lyme disease and all kinds of other fevers out there with the ticks, but yeah, I got bit. I pulled a tick off me, and I didn't have a bullseye or nothing like that, but I was kind of nervous, but it went away. I don't think I grabbed it in time, you know?
That was fortunate for you. That's
but
terrifying.
Yeah, so you need bug spray. But bring the repellent. You don't want to get chewed up by mosquitoes. Learn about, you know, poison ivy, sumac. Just remember, leaves of 3, leave them be. You know, I got poison sumac one time because I was playing softball at a picnic area. And you know how you daydream and you pull leaves off a tree and you start playing with them?
Sure.
Well, I did that with poison sumac, and I got a real bad case of it, and I had to go to the doctor, and he told me what happened, and gave me a shot of steroids to get rid of it. But yeah, leaves of 3, leave them be. That's all you got to know.
Gotcha. So, have you ever had an experience out there in the field that genuinely terrified you? Something that scared you?
You know, well, I could say that if you do this kind of investigating and you want to be real serious doing it, I think when you're out there and there's like the bigger group you have, the less afraid or scared you're going to be because you have a group. But if you go out there with just say you go out there with a friend and there's only 2 of you out there, when you start hearing noises and things and you feel like you're being watched, you start getting real nervous. And I think what I was saying is you need the therm, which you can see what's going on around you at night. So if you think you hear something that's moving around, check it out. It might just be a deer. It might just be a small animal. But it makes you feel better knowing that you have it and you can check out what it is, instead of your imagination taking over and scaring the daylights out of you, you know?
Nice. So if you had unlimited funding, all of the money in the world, where would you launch the ultimate investigation?
I would go to British Columbia.
Okay.
Yeah, I would make sure we have enough guns because you're going to have, you got grizzly bears around there. You got to be careful. But definitely British Columbia. I would try Alaska because I heard Alaska's got some crazy activity over there. Washington State. So those 3 areas I think are like the biggest in the country, you know.
Nice.
Well, because British Columbia is actually Canada, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
right. No, I get you. in North America. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so the Unholy Fire. This is the part of the show I enjoy. It's great. It's called the Unholy Fire. So, one-word explanations, please. Just the first thing that comes into your mind. Okay? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bigfoot or the Jersey Devil?
Bigfoot.
Ghosts or cryptids?
Cryptids.
Forest or asylum?
Forests.
EMF or thermal?
Thermal.
Spirit box or dowsing rods?
Spirit box.
Evidence or experience?
Both.
Okay. Dogman or Bigfoot?
Bigfoot.
Mothman or Chupacabra?
I would have to say Chupacabra.
Okay. Believer or skeptic?
Believer.
Most haunted location?
Carney Cottage.
Your scariest encounter location?
New Jersey Pine Barrens.
Okay. Aliens, Bigfoot, or ghosts?
Bigfoot.
Favorite horror movie?
Island of Terror.
Okay. Coffee or energy drinks?
Energy drinks.
Nighttime or daytime?
Nighttime.
Solo or a team?
Team.
All right. Finish this sentence. The unexplained is...
The unexplained is amazing.
Okay. Terrific. All right. Well, you've survived the Unholy Fire. Most people try and cheat, but you did great. So, Michael, before we wrap up tonight, tell listeners where they can find Cryptids and Paranormal Productions, learn about annual conferences, and follow your work online.
You can visit www.cryptidsandparanormalproductions.com. You could check out the YouTube channel. I could definitely use some subscribers because I'm not in it to get subscribers, but it wouldn't hurt to get some. I'm in it for the research. Some people do this because they want the hits and subscribers. But you can check out the YouTube channel. It's Cryptids Paranormal Productions. Check out the YouTube channel. And Facebook, I have a Cryptids Paranormal Productions Facebook page, Cryptids Paranormal Festival Facebook page, and you can find me, Michael Doris O'Connor, on Facebook. It used to be me and my wife were going to have a Facebook together, but I got stuck with that middle name. I couldn't take it out, so she decided to have her own Facebook, and I couldn't delete it, and it's funny, you know. People see Doris in there, and like, well, you know, they start thinking, what's this guy with long hair? Doris, is this some kind of a fruitcake or something? You know, it's just I can't delete it. You know,
No,
I tried.
I hear you. Well, Michael, thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been a fascinating conversation, and sharing your experiences with the world and the audience. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's all my pleasure. And for those of you watching and listening, as I always say, dear listeners, stay safe, be aware, and beware, because sometimes the silence is the most terrifying thing.
You've just heard another chilling chapter of the Unholy podcast, hosted by Doug Owen, author, investigator, and witness to the things most fear to name. For more real stories, cursed objects, and exclusive content, step deeper into the dark at authorDougOwen.com. Subscribe, share, and remember, some silences aren't empty, they're waiting.